Hello, I'm here with Evgenia Emets from Eternal Forest. And Eternal Forest is one of the organizations which participated in both gatherings, 2022 and 2024. So thank you for keeping the faith in the gathering. I wanted to ask you, about the 2024 experience, and to start with, what impact did the gathering have on your organization and your work?
Thank you. Well, first of all, glad to be here and glad to support the gathering. I think it's really important endeavor. We need more of these gatherings to be able to weave the network of networks, how I call it. Yeah, so we were at the gathering as a camp, and we tried to bring a few things together. Our time at the gathering was pretty much split between the doing and the being. And as Eternal Forest project, we are doing a lot of things at the moment, and the organization is growing and expanding. And at the same time, because of the nature of the project, connecting humans with nature and reconnecting people with forests, there's a lot of being part. So for our organization, I guess one of the most interesting things were to tackle some of the questions that we are facing at the moment, that we are asking ourselves. And so we created quite a rich program around basically what a new type of regenerative organization means and how we might be organized as a foundation to hold and to host this kind of future eternal forest network and a movement. So a lot of our sessions were focused on that. And just to give you a couple of examples, we did a beautiful session with Lisa Fleet, which was kind of organizational constellation workshops, a workshop whereby in kind of live mode, we try to embody the different parts of our network and partnerships and our organization. And it was really beautiful exercise. We try to imagine in some other sessions how Eternal Forest can be actually organized as a forest, as our kind of mother organization, but also with all of our land-based projects and partners and so on. So for us, it was a big step forward at the gathering to really try to embody, feel, think, imagine, and dream the future Eternal Forest organization. So right now, we are seriously thinking about creating a foundation to be able to actually hold the space for this emergence of 1,000 forest sanctuaries into the future. And I do feel that there are no easy questions there. For example, for me personally, the traditional NGO style organization maybe is not enough anymore, and maybe something else is trying to emerge. And so, with some of my colleagues from other organizations and from other foundations, we are thinking and feeling into the space what it means for Eternal Forest to actually be organized and functioning as a real forest, as this beautiful mycelial structure that can support communities around the world.
Thank you. So, uh, I want to know, because I want to focus today on, it's amazing the work that you do, but in this short conversation today, I want to focus on what impact did the gathering and being at the gathering have for you.
Yeah.
So, can you say what kind of connections you made? Can you share any stories, any new projects or ongoing relationships?
Yeah, so first of all, just to rewind a little bit back, I think just making the camp happen allowed us to consolidate and bring together people that we wanted to see in the space and actually offer them to have those, to host those sessions and to facilitate those sessions. So a lot of the sessions were facilitated by friends, partners, collaborators, and so on. So I think that's already a huge impact. So instead of, for example, us going and trying to organize our own event, we joined the gathering of the tribes. So we actually we felt very supported for this 5 days to be able to create those spaces and conversations. I think what for us, more than meeting completely new people, of course, we made lots of beautiful connections, but I think for us was more about internalizing and building stronger relationships with the people that we already know. So a lot of our work is in Portugal, and we really tried to bring together our land-based partners, and so they came. So, for example, we had people from Project Cabeço Santo, from Faia Brava. We reconnected with Vale das Lobas, which then the gathering was followed by actually visiting these 3 projects in person, and discovering what they're working with, what are their needs, what are their struggles, and how we can collaborate in the future. So directly already, I feel gathering impacted our reconnection in the moment inside the camp and inside the gathering, but also brought us together just after the gathering. And right now we are thinking about creating a cohort of projects, and these projects are included. So it's a very clear sequence of events. I felt that happen. So again, it's like that focus of energy. And then we had El Santo visiting, and Andrea Herrera joining, which is, old connection from the rebuild and the gathering of 2022. And that conversation continues, and that is the link with Spain. There were other new projects joining and interested in collaborating. So yes, I think relationships take time to build, and it takes time to align with the people that we started speaking with. So, for example, David from Kobane in Romania, he joined with a friend, and it allowed us to align a bit more our understanding of how we can work together. So all of that was incredibly rich.
Beautiful, thank you. And yeah, what impact do you think the gathering has had on the regenerative social human ecosystem?
I think the repercussion of the gathering, I feel, will be felt longer. So there was this immediate impact that people went out from the gathering with some seeds that they could carry back to their communities. And they're just looking at the chat of the gathering in the Telegram. I feel like there is this rich conversation that is emerging. People are bringing their passions, people are bringing their needs, their concerns, their dreams. There's a lot emerging and there is a lot moving. So I feel like there's this energy that is being built. For me, the gathering itself as an event is just one thing, and then the space between the gatherings is another thing. And I feel like that's actually when the real work is done. And I think what we wanted to achieve with the gathering, what I understood, is to act not only in the moment, not only just like to have great time and to meet people and to look into each other's eyes and have wonderful conversations, but like what actually happens after. How do we not only integrate this experience, but build up to yet the next experience or experiences, which I understand now the gathering might expand from Portugal beyond to other countries. And for us, for example, it's incredibly important to keep weaving together this network, the international global network of projects, of how we can work and collaborate with projects across the globe. And we're personally interested in working in the US and across Europe. So for me and for us gathering, I think it's this really kind of important foundation of building relationships in the regenerative movement and continuing building links with projects that do important work on the ground and seeing how we can work together in the future. So yeah, I see that lots of themes emerged, and these themes I think need to be addressed and explored and taken actively into the next gathering. And as a build up to the next gathering, maybe like a few smaller things can happen, like this conversation online, but with broader circle and broader audience.
Brilliant. Thank you. So the vision of the gathering is to build a regenerative ecosystem of collaboration. How do you think the design can be changed to do this better? How much was it actually done?
So for me personally, what I feel is the days that we were there, for us, it was very intense and very focused, personally for our camp. So for example, we didn't have so much time and so much capacity to be outside of the camp and weave. There were great moments like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I personally use this time to really meet with other people and start conversations. Some people came into the camp and we had a chance to just go and pollinate a little bit. So I think that one thing that I would improve is I would make this a bit longer. I would make it a week. And I would actually, so my idea and my proposal, and I already shared it with a few people, would be to have focus days, but inside the gathering, just in the middle of the gathering, which would be like day 4, to have a completely empty day, the day of being, where we could just walk around and meet each other, visit our camps, and just chill out and have conversations without agendas or without like holding space for something. And that's one thing. And another thing is I'm very interested to organize the camp next time in such a way that, for example, some of my members of the camp and team members specifically could go to other camps and participate in other sessions. But again, we need more capacity and time for that. And the program needs to be organized around that in such a way. And I think that creating capacity for us to weave together the network between the gatherings, I think it's quite important. I already said that. I don't know exactly how it can be done, but I think that some kind of regular conversations and perhaps some kind of platform where everybody can meet and join, and the map of projects and the map of what's going on. I think that could help and support. And also, my question is always, how do we bring more people to the gathering, especially who are not in the beautiful circle and the bubble of regeneration? So how do we bring the mainstream? How do we bring the finance, the business, the art, the ecosystem restoration, those players on a little bit like bigger scale, so that we can start bridging this connection between the larger scale, the medium scale, and really small projects. Because I think that that is also, I see a little bit the role of the gathering that can play, how it can affect the actual event and how the actual event can be organized with this sense and this capacity. I think maybe by building more partnerships, so looking out for partners who already have great standing in these areas, maybe other festivals or other gatherings, and so on, and bringing them on board. But in the actual gathering, I really enjoyed the time and the space. Our camp was super programmed, super intense. Next time, I would like to have more space to be with people, but that's, I think, more on us. Um, I think continuing doing gathering in nature, in beautiful locations in nature is really important, because I think it takes people into a very special, immersive space, and it supports their process incredibly well. So I would continue doing that. I don't know what else.
Wonderful. Thank you. I really love because actually every time I asked you, you already answered the next question I had in the list. So that's really great. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. What is your Eternals forest needs, and how can the gathering support it in the immediate?
Okay, thank you for that question. We have, I think, next our big next step, our next phase. So we had 7 years of development. Now it's the 8th year. We're counting. And I think our next big step is really emerging eternal forest organization with a team, with a good board or council, let's say, of advisors. We really need good connections in the world. We need funding. So we are launching in about a week what we call Seeding Eternal Forest, which is an open invitation to come participate, support, contribute, whether financially or with resources and knowledge and skills. So if you can help spread the word about that and help bring the right people to help grow Eternal Forest Organization, that would be amazing. That's what we are intending to do before we go creating actual physical forest sanctuaries with our partners. That's the next step that we need to achieve to be able to hold actually that space.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. And see you at the next gathering.
Thank you. See you in 2026.
Or maybe there might be gatherings in 2025,
That
conversation.
would be amazing. We could do that.